Well, welcome back to a regular edition of 42nd Street Pete's Grindhouse. Trying to keep a little upbeat here, which is getting fucking harder and harder to do under the situation. I got to go back to something, and you can hear my throat still fucked up from this goddamn surgery and shit from the pipe being down my throat and stuff. I got to go back to something that sort of put a little smile on my face back when I was a kid. And used to buy a lot of 8mm films because that's how we watched horror movies back then. And there was one little 8mm film that I really loved, and that was 1957's Curse of the Demon. And it was on, I don't know if Castle put this out or, not sure, probably was Castle. Not 100% sure. But anyway, you got basically the best payoff scenes in the film because there's this whole thing with a demon that shows up in the beginning of the film and then shows up at the end of the film. And the odd thing was that the director, Jacques Turner, who actually did, I think it was I Walk with a Zombie, didn't really want a monster involved in it. He wanted the audience to imagine it. But powers that be wanted a monster. And what an iconic monster it became, because it probably graced the cover of every 50s and early 60s monster magazine that came out. And the thing is, there's some doctor who basically is running a devil cult. His name is Carswell, played by Niall McGuinness. And this guy comes to him in the middle of the night telling him he knows everything is real now, he's sorry, and he wants something stopped. Well, Carswell is sort of loath to stop it because once this thing is put into action, it's kind of hard to stop. But basically, this doctor and another doctor coming in from the States, Dr. Holden, played by Dana Andrews, is going to expose Carswell's devil cult. So Carswell sort of assures the guy that maybe I can take care of this, maybe it will be all right, and just go home. Well, the guy goes home, pulls into his driveway, and sees this sort of like shimmering little cloud. And the cloud keeps getting bigger and bigger. Then we see the genesis of this demon in there, the demon with horns and fangs and wings on its back and big claws and shit. And this guy tries to take off in his car, backs into a high tension pole, the pole falls on him, and you see both the demon's feet stand next to him, and the big demon hand coming down. So now he's dead. So, of course, Dr. Holden arrives and doesn't know any of this stuff and is sort of like miffed that this whole thing had happened. And then he confronts Carswell, or Carswell actually I think comes to visit him in his office and asks him if he's going to continue with this investigation. And, of course, Holden says he is. He's going to expose the devil cult. So Carswell knocks some papers off of Holden's desk and goes to pick them up. And in picking them up, he slips a piece of paper with a rumen on it. And that's how the demon gets his victims, by being... He basically told Holden that he basically has 4 days to live. So there's a bunch of stuff that goes on that's pretty weird and creepy, which makes this a really good atmospheric film. At one point, Holden shows up at Carswell's house where they're having a Halloween party. And they're having a discussion in the woods, and Carswell does something that basically brings down a huge fucking storm on the place. And he basically says he can summon things from hell. So, as Holden tries to find out more, he breaks into Carswell's house and is attacked by a little kitty cat who becomes a leopard. And Carswell confronts him and says, you know, whatever the hell's going on here, this is my protector, this and that and the other thing. Well, Holden decides to go back the way he came, and all of a sudden you see that shimmering cloud sort of form in the background and sort of chase him through the woods without materializing into the demon. So they basically get a former devil worshiper and put him under hypnosis, and he basically explains that the only way to get out from under this curse is to pass the ruin to somebody else. So there's a whole bunch of stuff going on. They get on a train, and Carswell's on a train, and then there's some law enforcement involved, and there's a confrontation between Carswell and Holden. And Holden slips the rune into Carswell's coat jacket and hands it to him. Carswell has this expression on his face and he goes, "You passed it." And Holden nods. Well, the paper comes out. All of a sudden, the paper's swept out of Carswell's hand and is blown down on the railroad tracks. And he's chasing it. And it goes down the tracks, and all of a sudden it stops, and you see that cloud morph again. And again, we see the smaller demon in the middle of the cloud, and it gets bigger and bigger with the wings and the feet and the fangs and everything like that. And Carswell's running. Well, you see this thing just pick up Carswell and just then go like this and throw what's left of him on the tracks. Of course, this is written off as a train accident because a train went right by him. So the only people that know are Holden and the woman that was with him. Really cool, really atmospheric little film that I had to revisit again. And still holds up, still spooky, and like I said, brought back some fond memories of me sitting in my room when I was about maybe 12 years old running these little 8mm films and just digging what was going on. So that's our film for today. Thanks for subscribing. Thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to go to thefuseboxshow.com if you want to hear my take on Roger Corman's life and unfortunately, sadly passing, and all the stuff that he did. I'm being interviewed by Mark Rose, and it's available right now on thefuseboxshow.com. So definitely check it out. So thanks for subscribing. Thanks for tuning in. All the people that were asking about my health and well-being, I appreciate it. I thank you. I'm just dealing with some miserable shit right now with the fucking healthcare industry, and I don't even know if it's going to get straightened out. But until then, stay safe, and we'll catch you on the flip side.